Welcome back, pet parent. I'm so excited for today's episode because we're talking about oral health, dental hygiene, all the things, but not in the ways we have talked about this in the past. I've had other veterinarians on. We've talked about dental cleanings and we've talked about raw meaty bones with Dr. Billinghurst. We've talked about so many things. This is a little bit different. I have Jen with Canophera on today. And if you haven't heard of Canophera, well, you were kind of like me a couple of years ago because the truth is that my dog is a little princess who doesn't like to chew things. And so I have tried so many things with her. And she's just like, she just stared at me when I said that. I have tried so many things with her, and I know how important dental health is. And I do things for her. I have to really make up a lot. If your dog is a chewer, count your blessings because dental health is so important for overall health. We've talked about the oral microbiome with Emily from Teeth, if you remember that episode. I could go back to so many, but I want to welcome Jen Johnson from Coniferra on today's episode of the Pet Parenting Reset podcast. How are you doing today, Jen?
Great. Thank you so much for having us on today.
Yay! I know this is going to be such a fun conversation. This is not a sales pitch, but we are going to talk about all of the different products because Coniferro has really grown their product line. One of the reasons why I said yes to Jen is because of the sustainability of what they're doing. They're actually using products that would otherwise be tossed, burned, thrown out, possibly ending up in landfills. Not good for the environment. We're going to talk about all of that. If you're new here, my name is Jessica. I am your host for the Pet Parenting Reset podcast. I'm also a canine nutritionist and holistic pet health coach. I really focus on food as medicine, food therapy. So that's what we talk about a lot, which is why in past episodes talking about dental health, we've talked about raw meaty bones. We've talked about all the different ways that food can help with our dog's oral health. But today we're talking about some different things. So, Jen, can you kind of give us an idea? Let's start with like the idea behind the brand because I think that is such a cool story.
Yeah, of course. So Canophera makes all natural dog chews. So all of the chews we have are 100% all natural. There are no synthetics, plastics, additives, anything used in the chews. It's just the actual chew. They're all made from resources from nature. And we started out with our coffee wood stick, which literally looks like a stick, but it is very unique because the coffee wood is a special type of wood that does not splinter when the dogs chew on it. So it actually comes off in flakes or pieces, and these pieces are fully digestible for the dog. And so, if your dog loves to chew sticks in your backyard, this is a great safe alternative. Many people don't know that the sticks in your backyard are dangerous for dogs because they can splinter, they can puncture gums, intestines. Plus, they could have saps on them. They could have something on the outside that could cause digestive distress. So, our original product, the coffee wood stick, is something that is very safe for dogs to chew. And at the same time, what you talked about earlier promotes dental hygiene because as they chew, they're able to scrape off the plaque and the tartar on their teeth and also strengthen their jaw, which allows the dog to literally clean its own teeth, which is great.
It is because, we don't look. Here's the reality. I know Dr. Katie Kangas is going to hate me for saying this, but we don't brush our dogs' teeth. I mean, some people do. Some people do, don't get me wrong. And I think it's even worse for our cats, which I know you have a new cat line coming out. We'll talk about that a little later on. But it's just not easy. It's not convenient. If you don't start when they're a puppy or a kitten, they hate you. you
It's
know,
true.
bite risk is real, right? Like we have to consider that as well as pet parents. Even our little babies, which they shouldn't be our little babies, they're dogs, but still, our little babies can bite when they are scared or if something hurts. And it's a reaction. It's not like they're trying to be mean to you. If you accidentally hurt your dog, it's fair that they're going to snap and bark or like they're dogs. They're not humans, right? So whatever we can do to improve their health all around. And we know, so again, I was saying earlier, I talked to Emily from Teeth and the downstream effects, we know this in human dentistry as well. The downstream effects from having poor hygiene in the mouth, I mean, literally, you could die.
Mhm.
And I don't say that lightly. Obviously, it's not gonna happen overnight, but, you get an infection under your gum, you don't even know it's there. It can get into your bloodstream pretty quickly. Like, oral hygiene is so important. Dogs need to chew.
Mhm.
They have very different teeth from us. They are a different species from us. They need to be chewing. And so, one of the things, of course, I talked to Dr. Ian Billinghurst. He's a huge advocate for raw, meaty bones, but even dogs in the wild, wolves, foxes, anything in that lineage, in that like genus of animal, they are also going to chew on other things. And so that was one of the coolest things that I thought I heard, when I was looking into this product is like, it's actually really, really beneficial for them and could possibly be something because like you said, dogs will chew on sticks. They just naturally know how to do these things that it is beneficial for them. And so providing them more appropriate resources to do this with, it's just so cool.
So that's actually our slogan at Canophera is the natural desire to chew because dogs innately want to chew. And so when people get a puppy and they're like, "Oh, my puppy's chewing on my slippers or my socks or something," it's because they have that desire and they need to be given something that they're allowed to chew, but also that provides a bit of a challenge. And so our chews offer a wide variety of types of chews for the dog that is a medium to heavy chewer to an aggressive chewer. So they can have that challenge they're looking for because the only way for dogs to truly relax is by chewing. So the way that they release the dopamine and the serotonin is by chewing. They don't go and, take a bath and watch Netflix, have a glass of wine. Like that doesn't happen for a dog. And so if they're able to chew for ideally 20 minutes, that's like when they can reach their relaxation and their calm. So chews are great for dogs who are anxious, who are stressed out. If they're able to chew, they can really calm down and their behavior improves. So it's just a redirection of what they can chew as opposed to what they cannot.
Yeah, well, as you were saying that, was reminded I have always been slightly uncomfortable with this whole like movement of like lick mats. And licking is also something that can release dopamine for a dog that can help calm them down. So it's often recommended in like behavioral modification to let dogs lick on things. Kongs, there are lick mats, there are slow feeders and like different like maze bowls and different things like that. And I had, Carol from Mind Pet Platter on, who designed a platter, it's based on, like, how dogs and cats actually eat a carcass in the wild. So, I fully got behind that, but still, lick mats are huge. And I just like, I have tried them. I do have some. I never use them because I just can't there's something about them that I don't love. And Carol, again, from my Pet Platter, explained to all of us on this podcast that it's because it's frustrating. Yes, initially they're going to get that dopamine release. They're going to enjoy it. It's going to like start to scratch that itch, but the way lick mats are designed, ultimately it's a very frustrating thing for them. And it can harm their noses as well. When you have like deep bowls, cuz some of them are like bowls and their noses get in there, it kind of blocks the scent. It gets really overwhelming. It can do a lot of damage. And the frustration factor is what really gets me, especially as somebody who comes from more of a behavioral training background. I don't want to put my dog in a situation where they're frustrated because that can obviously it's going to backfire. Everything that I thought I was doing right, it's all going to backfire when they actually get frustrated at the end. So that's why I again, so excited about the idea of letting them chew and having something that isn't a raw meaty bone for a couple of reasons. One is because some people are still really put off by them. They don't want to feed raw or they don't want to give their dog, access to the house to have this raw meat all over the house. Of course, I just tell them to put their dog outside, but you can't always do that.
That's
If it's freezing or raining. So having these other options, which I think are really natural for like animals in the wild would be seeking these out
true.
anyway, as you said, with sticks. So you've got the coffee wood and tell me a little bit more about like the flaking of it, because I know some people can get kind of freaked out, especially when we think of like if they look at it and they think, "Oh, it's splintering," it's not splintering,
Yeah,
right?
it's not
Tell me.
splintering. I mean, when it comes to the coffee wood stick, it is an all natural product. And so there is going to be some pieces left behind. There's a little bit of a mess with some of our products, and it's just like pieces on the floor that you can easily sweep up, but it can be, a deterrent for some pet parents. So we do like them to know that. The coffee wood stick, as it comes off, the dog's saliva actually softens the wood, which makes the pieces very easily digestible. If they're on the floor and you come back an hour later, they look hard like splinters, but when they were chewing, they weren't hard like splinters. And so those are the pieces that you just want to sweep up and throw away. Now, for a very aggressive chewer, I don't think the coffee wood stick is the best option because they can really demolish it pretty quickly, which is not what you want with any of our products. All of our chews are meant to be long lasting and durable. So this is great for like the medium, the average chewer. Heavy chewers can be great, but we always say size up. So if you have, like a dog that's a size large, but they're a really heavy chewer, try the extra large, which is just going to be a bigger stick. So we have all of our products in size specific according to the dog. So we want to make sure you get the right size. And if you're unsure, you size up. But we do have products that are more durable for those highly aggressive chewers, which is one of our favorite ones, which we actually consider to be a solution to a problem of heavy chewers that cannot find anything to chew that gives them a challenge. It's called the briar root. It looks like a rock, but it's actually made from the root of the heather tree. And they take this and they sand it down to make it really smooth, as you can see. And this thing is nearly indestructible. We have had dogs who have been chewing this thing for a year, like a pit bull, a Doberman, and it's holding up really strong. Very small pieces come off, but we have yet to see any dog do any real damage to this. We have a challenge. 2 weeks, your dog chewing on this, if they demolish it, we'll give you a free chew of your choice because we believe in this product so much. In fact, we could probably extend the guarantee to months because a heavy chewer is not going to do much to this.
So, okay, so you've got the coffee wood chew sticks. You've got, oops, where did I go here? I was pulling up your website and
Sure.
lost it. Okay, so you've got the coffee wood chew sticks, the briar root chews, and you were telling me when we were talking prior to recording that you actually had somebody come up to you at a show a year later and was like, barely looks like my dog has
Yeah.
used this and
So
it's been.
we were at Global Pet Expo this last March in Florida, and the lady came up to me. She has a pit bull, and she said, "Hey, my dog really loves your briar root." And I said, "Awesome." She's like, "I got it a year ago." I said, "Great. Can you send it to me and I'll give you a new one? And that way I can show, here's what it looks like chewed." We really love to show pet parents, like, here's what it looks like chewed so they know when to discard it, and get a new one. And she said, to be honest, it looks pretty much the same. She's like, it is this with like a corner kind of missing off of it, but the dog can still safely chew on it. And so I said, all right, I gave her another one. I said, just tell me when it gets down small enough. But her dog absolutely loves to chew on this. It's just a really good challenge. Those dogs that are heavy chewers, they want a challenge. And this provides them with a safe challenge that, the pieces are digestible. They're not, they're, they cannot get a piece off this. It's just impossible. You can throw this on concrete multiple times and nothing happens. It's a very, very strong chew. But what is great about this is the roots of the heather tree would normally be burned and destroyed. And now we can use it as a useful product for a dog. And so everyone's winning. And the people who are digging these up have a job because they can dig these up and make these for us, which is awesome.
Yeah, well, that was one of the biggest reasons why I was like, yes, let's come talk about this because of the sustainability aspect to all of this. I think you said the people that who originally you can tell a story. I don't need to tell the story. Something with forestry.
Yeah, yeah. So we have two founders. They're German, and one of them is a forestry major. And he went to Vietnam and discovered that coffee wood trees need to be burned down every 20 to 30 years to grow a new coffee crop. And so he hated to see that all this wood was being wasted, and they can use it to, I don't know, to make fires, but it's Vietnam, it's hot. So they don't really need the wood. So a lot of it was just being destroyed. And unfortunately, it's a fairly poor country. And so the only income they were getting was from the coffee beans themselves. So he just first originally said, "Hey, I'm going to make bird perches with these." And that was going fairly well until he discovered that dogs like to chew on this and it's safe for them to chew. And so he was able to take the coffee wood and make it into sticks, which we have factories over there that employ a large amount of people that sand them down and make them into really nice sticks for us of all different sizes and then ship them over. We're a worldwide company now to anywhere within the world can get these, and the coffee trees are not being wasted anymore. And I have to add, there's no caffeine in these. So we get that question a lot. My dog does not need any caffeine. No, the caffeine is only in the cherry and the small bean. So these are completely safe for dogs to do.
Yes, and thank you for mentioning that because I'm sure there are people out there going, "Wait, coffee?"
Yes, coffee for
No. Oh my gosh. And I do so I know there are more products that we can talk about, but I just wanna say, I continue to grow and learn, and that's kind of one of the best parts for me about doing this podcast is, like, getting to learn alongside everybody else, having guests on that I'm like, "Wow, really? That's amazing." One of the things for me, being an American, I've always lived here. I have traveled abroad, but not extensively. But I have definitely in the past been one of those people that's like, all US, US companies, made in the US, blah, blah, blah. Let's keep it all here. And like, in some cases, I'm still like that.
yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
yeah.
But that's why I appreciate learning the stories behind all of this because those coffee trees are growing in Vietnam. Like, why would we export them into another country to have the labor be done? Like, that doesn't make sense, right? So it's okay that like this is where these trees are growing, or and then the heatherwood tree you said.
The heather
I don't
tree,
remember.
dry
Is
root
that
from the heather. The
oh, the heather tree? Is in what did you say that one was in like Italy or something?
exactly.
Yes.
And with all of our products, they're from all different countries, and it's because that's where they're sourced from. Like our red deer antlers are from the Czech Republic. That's where they have red deer. And so we can't say, we can get it in the US because I don't think we have red deer in the US that we can get these, but these are naturally shed on the forest floor. So we have teams that go out and get the naturally shed deer antlers that just another animal would probably come chew on, or they would just sit there and decompose, that we can use these for dogs that again hugely promoting dental hygiene and is a great challenge for dogs too because they're much thicker than white deer antlers.
Okay, I was gonna ask about this because antlers have been something that like I have avoided like the plague. I'm like, no, like they're too hard. Dogs are gonna break their teeth on them, and I know nothing. I'm throwing this out there as like somebody who knows nothing because my dog doesn't chew.
And you know what? I'm actually really glad that you brought that up because I think antlers are very controversial. And I think one thing that we have to understand when it comes to dogs' teeth, it's similar to, let's say, human teeth. If you have very good, strong teeth and you have good genes and you've taken care of your teeth, you can eat nuts. However, maybe your mom, who has a lot of dental problems and doesn't have strong teeth, cannot eat nuts because she might break a tooth. It's a similar thing with antlers. So if you have, especially a young dog who you've had maybe since he was a puppy and you've watched all the teeth come in, great dental hygiene, and there's no history of that teeth problems, good genes, it's great for them to chew an antler. Maybe you have a senior dog who, was raised in a shelter for how many years, maybe didn't eat the best quality dog food, has weaker teeth. I would stay away from antlers. I mean, I think as a pet parent, you kind of know what your dog can handle and what it can't. And so for some, we have the majority, especially younger dogs, do great with antlers. But if you have a senior dog or a dog that's had teeth problems, you maybe just want to avoid them. You know your dog best. We do offer the antlers in both holes and splits. With the splits, the marrow is exposed. And so with this, it's the dog can get direct access to it, which makes it less of a challenge. They don't have to chew through the wall as much. It's still going to be a hard chew, but it's not going to be as hard as them trying to get through the wall to be able to get to the marrow. So there's two options, but I think that parents have to be know their dog and then know what chew is best for their dog.
Yeah. So, and I'm looking on the website and it says that these antlers are odor free. Which I know for me, like, especially some of the like nastier things that you would get from like these big box pet stores for your dogs to chew on, they stink.
Yeah.
Like, especially once your dog starts chewing on them, like they smell
Mhm.
bad. Another thing that, I grew up with dogs who were given pig ears. I still think pig ear, like a natural pig ear is still something great to give your dog, but it's more of a treat than like it is a chew, but it's not going to last a long time. Like these chews that we're talking about today. It's going to give them a little bit of exercise for their jaw, and they're going to eat it and they're going to be done with it. One of the things, and I'm not sure, maybe you can tell me, and I didn't prep this question at all, so who knows what's going to happen next, but I do find with there certainly are dogs in various stages of resource guarding, but I think with food-based treats, food-based chews, that can be a little bit more exacerbated with resource guarders. Do you see that less so with these types of chews because they're not food?
Well, I think it kind of, again, it depends on the dog and their behavior. So you know that. But the two animal chews we have, which are sheep horns and the red deer antlers, I think dogs are probably more protective over because they do have the animal scent. They do
Yeah.
have, the taste that is more, flavorful for them. Our other chews with the briar root, the coconut, and the coffee wood, probably not as much. In fact, we do find a lot of dogs that play with the coconut rope toys together. So I had yesterday, we have a circle that we're developing, a coconut ring. And I had my dog and my dad's dog tugging on it together. I got a great video. They're playing with it, eat one on each end. It was the cutest thing. And so they're not. It's like a playful toy. So a lot of our coconut rope toys, including this, the cocoa ball, are similar to traditional rope toys without the risks of what you would have with rope toys getting lodged in their intestines. They're made of coconut. And so it is purely coconut fibers that they smash the coconut, they dry out the fibers, and they weave it together. It's hand braided. All of these are hand braided and then they braid them into different shapes. So we have like a cocoa bone, we have a cocoa ball, I don't have it with me, but we have a coconut rope that has a piece of coffee wood on it. Our most popular product is the coffee and cocoa. So it's a tug and a chew and a play toy all in one. But the fibers that come off are completely digestible. They're very small fibers. And we get a lot of questions about this. Is it safe for my dog to swallow? Will it block their intestines? And what we tell everyone is the fibers are so small, I could literally just pull one off, and they're just these very small hairs, like super, super small. You can't even see them, fully digestible. But you also don't want your dog, eating a huge bunch of them because they're going to have some digestive distress, most likely, because they're not meant to eat all this drying coconut fiber at one time. And so we say, monitor your dog. If they're really chewing the pieces out and swallowing them, they're probably going to have a tummy ache. But they're not gonna have the issues you have with traditional rope toys.
Yeah. One of the things I actually learned probably maybe just a couple of years ago was how bad tennis balls are for your dog's teeth. So I guess whatever the fiber is that they're using on the exterior of tennis balls, and tennis balls are so popular
Mhm.
for dogs. Like you can actually find them in pet stores. Like that's how popular they are for dogs, but that it really damages the enamel of your dog's teeth. And so I like the idea of using the natural coconut instead, but getting that same like ball that you could toss,
Yeah, that
throw.
you can throw with it, and the cool thing is these little fibers act like dental floss. So they're scraping away the plaque and the tartar, they're getting in between the teeth, and, I play tug with this all the time with my dog, and she's pulling on this, and, like, I can see, like, the way she's pulling is scraping her teeth, and it's just great because the dog is taking care of its own dental hygiene, and we don't have to think about brushing the dog's teeth, and, like, I just give my dog I'll give her any one of the chews or I'll play with her for a little bit, and I can tell her teeth are doing great, which is wonderful. One less thing to think about, right? As pet parents,
Right?
we have a new to think about.
So, and I think you said it, but I just forgot because that's how my brain is today. The red deer antler versus the white deer antler. What did you say the difference was there?
So it has a thicker cell wall on the outside, which makes it more durable. So if you look at a white deer antler and you compare like the end of it, it's thinner. And these are thicker. They also say that it has more vitamins inside of it. I think it's just, I don't want to say a healthier breed of deer, but I think it just is, a more robust deer, let's put it that way, from where it lives. And so it does have more of the nutrients packed in it. The other thing I don't think I mentioned to you, the only products we have that have any calories are the red deer antlers and the sheep horn. The other products are all calorie free. And so that does make them a great, option for an overweight dog, a sedentary dog, especially the coffee wood stick. If the dog is actively chewing on it, they're not getting any added calories and yet they're burning calories. And so
Hmm.
that can be a great alternative because I know many pet parents say, I don't want to give my dog more calories. He already needs to be restricted. He already needs to lose weight. These are great options of getting your dog more active and not, adding to the weight gain.
Yeah. So Okay, the sheep horn chew is what I was gonna ask about next, but I wanna talk so the deer antler, we are not trapping deer, we're not raising deer specifically, we're just going on the floor of the forest or wherever and picking up what these deer are naturally shedding. So with the sheep horns, is that the same concept?
Yeah, that's exactly the same product concept. So all the animal products are naturally shed. And so we're taking the pieces that would just otherwise be left behind. And my husband, actually, the owner of Canophera here in the US, he went over to the Czech Republic and they did this practice where they went as teams out into the forest and, looked for them and gathered them and then brought them back to the warehouse and, sanded them down and checked them. And I mean, there's so many quality checks that happen because they are natural products. So we have to make sure, they don't have, anything growing on them or bugs or something like that. So there's a lot of quality checks that go into place, which was based on our German founders bringing that to all the factories that we have worldwide to say we need to have multiple quality checks to make sure we're giving the best products. And to be honest, when I hold all these chews, none of them they're all very, very clean. There's not, like I said, there's no odor, there's no residue left behind. They're very natural, clean products. And as your dogs play with them, you'll notice the same thing in your house. They feel very clean.
So one of the things I remember saying, I reached out to friends who do have dogs that chew, and I was like, tell me what you think about this brand. And they did say, and you mentioned this earlier, just to make sure you're getting the right size, the right chew level. So this is something that you kind of have to know your dog for. If somebody is just starting out with like a new dog and they have no idea, where do you recommend they start?
Yeah, that's a good question. And that's probably one of the most challenging thing with natural chews is figuring out where to start. On our website, we do have what we call a chewometer, and it does give some indication of, durability, long lasting, the strength of the chew. And so you can say, like, if my dog is that, I know I need to head for this chew. But one thing I encourage people is what is your dog already chewing that the dog likes? For example, some puppies love, they gravitate more towards socks or, furniture legs, or are they chewing something wood? Okay, let's try a wood chew. Are they chewing something more fabricy? Let's try something with the coconut rope. Are they wanting the scent and the taste of an animal chew, because those are the things they go after? That's how I usually say to start. When it comes to the coffee wood, it's usually a great place to start unless my dog is a really aggressive chewer and he can demolish a bully stick in minutes, then don't start there. I would say try one of the harder chews and see where it fits your dog. But I think one of the great options, we have what we call a happy chew box, and it has a variety of 4 chews in it that you can try for your dog and say which chew, it's a great value, which chew would my dog like the best. And then we say a chew that your dog doesn't prefer, gift it to another dog and see if they like it. I think it's useful to kind of pass the word around that there are natural chews available. You don't have to go with Coniferra, but there's options out there that aren't plastic and, are safer for your dog.
So before we talk about the cat chews, I am glad you brought up the idea of, other chews that are out there and why we would want to choose more natural options. Obviously, I'm such a big fan of the fact that this is sustainable. This is something that we are taking what would otherwise be waste and finding a really amazing use for it. I love that. At the end of the day, even if that were not the case, even if these were being grown intentionally for this resource, there are so many things out there, especially at like these big box pet stores, that people buy so much junk. I just want to like be like, please save your money. Please stop wasting your money. You're not only wasting your money, you're also potentially harming your pet with the money you are spending. So, what are some of the things that we absolutely want to stay away from?
I mean, I think number one, it's the safety of your dog. And so, I mean, I will admit years ago, we had a dog and we gave her, now this is way before Coniferra, we gave her a Nylabone. Sorry, Nylabone fans, but she chewed a chunk off, got it lodged in her intestine, and had to have emergency surgery because the pieces are not digestible. They got stuck and there was no other way. But, and now, fortunately, she was a younger dog. She was only 3 or 2 at the time. And so she came through the surgery quite well. But for an older dog, that may not always be the case. So I think number one concern is, could my dog choke on any of the things? The plastic squeakers in toys, obviously, are a big choking hazard. Rope, traditional rope toys, that can get lodged in the intestine, because if the dog gets a big piece off that, that can just get wrapped up in there. And so those are huge concerns. So that's my number one thing. Is it going to be safe for your dog to chew? And is what they're chewing digestible? And then number two, you have to start to think about the synthetics, the chemicals, the plastics that are on the outside of this. I mean, if your dog is chewing on things and constantly getting plastics, their health, their teeth, their dental health, is going to really go downhill. And then you're fighting a losing battle trying to maybe even give them healthy food while they're chewing on something that's unhealthy. And so those are my two biggest things I would think first as a pet parent. Is it safe for my dog, and what are they, getting inside of them as they chew all of this?
Yeah, I think so much about the chemicals and rawhide and the like bleaching that happens. It's just such a nasty, nasty product to me. And then, like you said, with the plastics, and the thing is, plastics are everywhere. They are everywhere. I think heard, I don't remember where. I've probably heard this in multiple places, but like humans, and I think we know from various different tests, and I don't think this particular test has been done on dogs that I know of, but like various different tests, we know that our pets are actually more toxic than we are.
Mm,
Cats are the worst. They are the most
yep.
toxic animals on the planet because they don't get outside
Mm,
to off gas, to ground. They're stuck in our homes. They're so much smaller than most other animal, and I don't know, who knows, with like hamsters, gerbils, fish.
yep.
I don't know. I don't know that they've been tested. But like when humans recently in like recent years are tested post-mortem, they have enough microplastics in their brain in the brain, so this is passing through the blood brain barrier to like create an entire credit card.
Yep.
Like that is
Heard that.
terrifying.
Yeah.
And then just knowing that our pets are worse off than we are because they're smaller than we are, because they're not getting outside the way we do. They're not wearing clothing to protect them from things. They're walking on floors that we just cleaned with chemicals, and their paw pads absorb everything. Like it just, it's like it's our obligation, I think, to know all of this, to continue learning, to provide them with safe products, with safe food, with safe chews, with safe toys. And yeah, I just wonder with like the microplastics where they're at, because I know it's horrible for us. I know like there are studies, we know it's got to be worse for them.
Well, I love that you brought up the concept of grounding. And so if you think about it, when a dog gets outside and their paw pads are on the grass, they are getting that wonderful grounding and the energy from the earth, and the sun's coming down. And can you imagine if they also had a natural chew in their mouth that is
Yeah.
also from nature? That it's like the perfect trifecta of like grounding on the earth, the fresh air, the sunshine, or just being outside in nature, and then chewing on something that is also natural, getting into their bloodstream. It's relaxing them, it's cleaning their teeth, and it has this beautiful synergy that all comes together. And so, if you follow us on any of our socials, the majority of our content is outdoors. A Canophera dog is a dog that's outdoors in nature, no matter the weather, enjoying, what Mother Nature has. And that's what we want to provide, is like these safe chews of saying, oh, tons of dogs have chewed on these. We know they're okay for dogs to chew. Just find the right one for your dog, and your dog is going to achieve that grounded, balanced, peaceful state that they want so badly. It's like we want so badly, but how do we get there? Let's help our dogs get there.
Yeah, I actually, one of my favorite food brands, Green Juju, Billy Hookman, comes on the podcast regularly. And that's something he's been talking about lately too, is like bringing the outdoors back in, because so many dogs don't don't live in an area where they even can get outside and if you think about people that live in like New York City and they're living in a high rise, these dogs may not touch the grass. their whole lives. And so bringing anything we can do to bring the outdoors in, to bring whether that is through food and enrichment like this is I just keep going back to like the trees. I mean the antlers too, but like this is bringing nature back into our dogs' lives when they're so far removed from it. I think generally speaking, dogs have it better where they at least go outside to for potty breaks. Of course, if you're in a city like and they're doing this on concrete, then you're not getting the benefit, but you're getting the fresh air, you're getting the off gassing, but you're not getting the grounding. Cats have it even worse because they're not they they're rarely getting outside, if at all, are even when they're using their litter box, not using like natural litters. It's all synthetic, it's all fragranced, it's terrible. Like our cats, I feel so badly for them. And so you guys have recently come out with some cat chews. It looks like chews and toys, four of them. So tell me about them and
Yeah,
how
so
this.
what we found was that we had a lot of dog owners coming to us and saying, "Hey, do you make anything for cats?" Or my cat loves the coconut rope. The coconut rope is very appealing to cats. They're able to scratch it, they're able to bite on it and gnaw on it. Similar to dogs, it's great for their dental hygiene, which I've never tried to brush a cat's teeth, and I don't think I want to because I don't think it would be very healthy. But again, it does the same thing with the natural dental floss and the scraping away of plaque and tartar. But we had pet owners just saying, like, you need to make something for cats. And Canophera is branded as a dog company. And so this has been an interesting journey for us to break into the cat world. We did some research on pheromones and what cats are attracted to in terms of scent. And yes, they liked the coffee wood, but they love olive wood. And so we have developed one of our cat toys is an olive wood and coconut rope toy. It's cat sized, so it's much smaller than the dog size. They can bite on it, they can chew on it, they can bat it around, but we're also finding cats love to nuzzle it. They like the scent of it. I have gotten a lot of feedback with cats sleeping with their little toy, which is really cute. But it also gives them one thing you mentioned earlier, the mental stimulation and the engagement, which the dog chews provide the dogs, and these cat toys now provide the cats. We don't sometimes think about what kind of mental enrichment do our pets need. And yes, we want them to maybe calm down or just give us a little space if we're working, but also they want to be stimulated like they're bored, And so giving them different opportunities for mental enrichment, and there's so many more out there now. But again, this is a natural way to do it as opposed to maybe the lick mats that could make them frustrated or have plastics. This is a natural way to say this is also mental stimulation for both cats and dogs.
I love it. I love the story behind it all. I love that it's natural. I love that it's sustainable. I love that it's so well received by cats and dogs, and just the whole mission behind it. I'm here for it. So I want to say thank you. I want to give you a moment if there's anything else that we didn't talk about that you wanted to talk about, and then we can talk about like where people can find these products at.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, I think we covered all the chews pretty well. Like I said, the biggest thing is just finding the right chew for your dog. And please, if anyone's unsure, reach out. I run the marketing in Canophera, and I get so many questions like, I don't even know where to begin. And so the first question is like, what does your dog like to chew now? And let's try something that's a little bit similar to that. And then how aggressive a chewer is your dog? The challenges that we face as a natural chew company is the dog destroyed that quickly or something like that. And the first things I usually say is, was it the correct size? Because that can be an issue. Please don't say, I want to save money and try out and get a small stick for a large dog. He could easily just crack it right in half. It's depending on the aggressiveness of the dog. Get the right size for your dog or size up, and make sure that you're monitoring your dog while chewing, because with any new product, you don't know what your dog's going to do with it. Like I said, you don't want your dog eating tons of coconut fibers and throwing up because he was not meant to eat tons of coconut fibers. So monitor your dog, and you can always use these chews as give them a time limit. Like I said, 20 minutes is ideal for chewing, or as like a behavior type of system. One pet parent I have, she has a very large, I think it's a golden doodle, and she uses the sheep horn during grooming time. So she will literally hold the sheep horn out for the dog, and the dog will chew while she grooms. And she said this is the only way her dog will stay still be brushed. And so that's another alternative. You can say like, I'm only going to bring the sheep horn out for this time. And be creative about it. I think it's useful. Also, the sheep horn is great to put like peanut butter in, or you can try yogurt. Just make sure to clean it out because it is a natural product. Give that as your a little enrichment toy. And probably one of the last things I'll say is don't leave these outside. They're great to give your dog outside to be in nature, but don't leave them outside because it rains, they will get, moldy and dirty, and then you don't want your dog chewing on them. So if you let your dog play outside, just bring them back in when you're done. So that way you don't end up wasting the sticks. Like my dad leaves them
Yeah.
outside and I yell at him all the time. I'm like, can we bring these inside? He's like, but uh,
Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes so much sense. And we do have to be aware of these things that are different for natural products versus, plastics and things that most people are used to. We just have to be aware, and if we know, then we can do the things we need to do. So yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. So where can people find these chews? I know I've seen them in some indie pet stores, but it is newer in the US. It's, you
yeah,
told me.
we've been here a little over 3 years in the US. We've been in Europe for 10 plus years, but US, we've been a little over 3 years. And so gradually you're going to start to see us. We're in Hollywood Feed now, and we're in a lot of mom and pop shops all around the country. But Canophera.com, it's spelled a little funny, Canophera.com. You can order directly there. We do sales monthly, multiple sales. We're just wrapping up a big Memorial Day sale, 25% off site wide. It was pretty awesome. We do a lot like that because we want people to just try it out and see what you think. And yeah, you can check us out on our socials because we're constantly posting educational stuff that you can find out more about natural chews or how to use them right with your dog.
I love it. Thank you so much for coming on and educating people about this. Again, I think, it's easy to just go into a big box store and buy something, but when we actually know better, we know like the reasons behind using more natural chews, we know how to make them work for our dog, how to choose them like that. It takes a lot of the overwhelm out of figuring it out on your own, like, because I know I was looking going, "Oh."
Yeah, for sure. We're a really
Yeah,
transparent company too. So when people reach out, we get back to people super quickly and just let you know what we're about. And we're an open book. We'll tell you exactly where everything comes from and how everything is made. My husband recently went to Vietnam and made some videos to show how the production works over there. And so those will be rolling out on our YouTube. And so you can see like this is actually how it's manufactured because like I said, it's great for dogs, but it's good for people because we're employing a lot of people over there and using the resources that they already have to bring a lot of joy to dogs around the world.
love it. Love it. Guys, check the links in the show notes. Thank you so much, Jen, for being here and helping to educate on natural chew options for dogs and cats, toys and chews. I appreciate you. I appreciate the mission behind Coniferra, and yeah, just excited to hear what people think about it once they give it a try.
Thank you so much. I appreciate me being on today. It was awesome. And I hope everyone will give us an opportunity to let their dogs chew.
Yeah, I love it. Guys, have a fabulous rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here. Please give your pets some extra love from me and from Jen this week, and I will talk to you next week.